From the frozen fjords of Scandinavia to the shores of continents unknown, the Vikings carved their names into history with iron and ambition. These weren't just raiders. They were explorers, strategists, and empire builders who reshaped medieval Europe. Today, we're counting down the 10 most legendary Vikings who ever lived, ranked by their lasting impact on history. Number 10. Freydís Eiríksdóttir. Born in Iceland around 970 A.D., Freydís was the daughter of Eric the Red and living proof that Viking ferocity knew no gender. During an expedition to Vinland in North America, her settlement came under attack by indigenous warriors. While her companions fled in terror, Freydís, pregnant at the time according to the sagas, seized a fallen sword, bared her chest, and struck the blade against it while screaming at the attackers. The sheer audacity of her fury sent them retreating. This account comes directly from the Icelandic sagas, making it one of the most vivid examples of a Norse shield maiden in historical records. But Freydís was no saint. Other accounts describe her ordering the brutal murder of rival expedition members to claim their resources. She ranks at number 10 because while her courage is undeniable, her story is brief, a single explosive moment of defiance rather than a sustained legacy. Number 9. Leif Erikson. Born around 970 A.D. in Greenland, Leif Erikson was the son of Eric the Red, but his ambitions lay in discovery rather than conquest. Around the year 1000, nearly 5 centuries before Columbus, Leif sailed west from Greenland and became the first known European to set foot in North America. He established a settlement called Vinland, likely in present-day Newfoundland. Archaeological evidence at Lance Ons Meadows confirms Norse presence, validating the saga accounts. Leif found timber, grapes, and vast forests, resources desperately needed in treeless Greenland. But Leif wasn't an empire builder. After exploring this new world, he returned home and never went back. The settlements eventually failed, and North America remained beyond Europe's grasp for another 4 centuries. Leif ranks at number 9 because he expanded the known world but never claimed it. Discovery without dominion earns respect, but not supremacy. Number 8. Lagertha. Lagertha appears in Saxo Grammaticus's Gesta Danorum, written around 1200 A.D. She's described as a shield maiden who fought alongside Ragnar Lothbrok to avenge his grandfather. When Ragnar's forces faltered in battle against the Swedish king, Lagertha rallied the warriors and turned defeat into victory. She later ruled her own territory in Norway, defending it successfully against invasions. When Ragnar eventually left her for another wife, Lagertha reportedly orchestrated her new husband's death and reclaimed full power. Most historians believe Lagertha is a composite figure, a blend of various warrior women, Norse goddesses, and Valkyrie mythology rather than a single historical person. But she represents something real, the Norse recognition of female warriors as legitimate participants in warfare. Lagertha ranks at number 8 because her legend captures an important truth about Viking society, even if the woman herself remained shrouded in myth. Number 7. Ivar the Boneless. Born in Denmark around 830 A.D., Ivar Ragnarsson earned his mysterious nickname, possibly referring to a physical condition affecting his legs, or perhaps to his flexibility in battle tactics. What's certain is his brilliance as a military commander. In 865 A.D., Ivar led the Great Haven Army's invasion of England, a massive coalition of Norse forces seeking vengeance for their father Ragnar's execution. Over 15 years, Ivar and his brothers conquered 3 of the 4 Anglo-Saxon kingdoms, fundamentally altering England's political landscape. Contemporary sources describe Ivar as unusually cunning and cruel. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle records his forces' systematic destruction of monasteries and execution of King Edmund of East Anglia. Yet Ivar also demonstrated remarkable diplomatic skill, forging alliances and negotiating settlements when warfare proved impractical. Ivar ranks at number 7 because his strategic mind achieved what brute force alone never could, the near-complete subjugation of England. His legacy lived on through the Danelaw, the Viking-controlled territory that permanently changed English culture and language. Number 6. Bjorn Ironside. Born around 830 AD in Sweden, Bjorn was likely another son of Ragnar Lothbrok. While other Vikings raided nearby coasts, Bjorn thought bigger. In the 860s, he led an extraordinary Mediterranean expedition, sailing through the Strait of Gibraltar and raiding the coasts of modern-day France, Italy, and North Africa. One legend claims that when his fleet reached the Italian city of Luna, Bjorn faked his own death and requested Christian burial inside the city walls. Once the funeral procession entered, Bjorn burst from his coffin and his men seized the city from within. Historians debate this tale's authenticity, but it captured medieval imagination across Europe. What's certain is that Bjorn's raids reached farther south than any Norse expedition before, bringing Scandinavian power to the Mediterranean world for the first time. Byzantine and Arab sources confirm Norse raiders in these regions during this period. Bjorn ranks at number 6 because he expanded Viking influence to unprecedented distances, but unlike others on this list, he built no lasting kingdom, only legends. Number 5. Ragnar Lothbrok. Was Ragnar Lothbrok real? Historians debate whether he was a single person or a composite of several 9th century Viking leaders. The sagas describe him as a legendary Danish king who raided England and France, captured Paris, and met his end in a pit of snakes on the orders of King Ella of Northumbria. What matters is that Ragnar, whether one man or many, represents the Viking ethos perfectly. The warrior who rose from nothing, raided for glory rather than gold, and whose death sparked one of history's greatest revenge campaigns. His son's formation of the great heathen army transformed their father's execution into a civilizational war. The historical impact is undeniable. Whether or not Ragnar existed as described, the invasions attributed to his sons reshaped Britain permanently. The Ragnar legend became a template for Viking ambition, the idea that individual daring could change kingdoms. Ragnar ranks at number 5 because he embodies the Viking ideal, but his historical existence remains frustratingly uncertain. Legend and fact blur so completely that separating them becomes impossible. Number 4. Eric Bloodaxe. Born around 895 AD, Eric Haraldsson earned his brutal nickname by killing most of his brothers to secure the Norwegian throne. The son of Harald Fairhair, Eric ruled Norway with ruthless efficiency, but alienated so many nobles that he was eventually driven into exile around 934 AD. Exile didn't diminish Eric, it redirected him. He sailed to Britain and became king of Northumbria, ruling the Viking-controlled territory twice, between 947 and 954 AD. His reign was marked by constant warfare against both Anglo-Saxon rivals and competing Norse factions. Eric died in battle around 954 AD at Stainmore, betrayed by former allies. Norse poetry portrays his death as glorious, claiming the Valkyrie Gondel personally escorted him to Valhalla. Eric ranks at number 4 because he represents Viking warfare in its purest form, uncompromising, violent, and ultimately unsustainable. He could conquer, but never consolidate. His reign was a storm that burned bright and brief. Number 3. Olaf Tryggvason. Born around 963 A.D., Olaf's early life reads like an adventure saga. His father was killed by enemies, and young Olaf was sold into slavery. After escaping, he became a raider across the Baltic and North Sea, amassing wealth and reputation. But after encountering Christian missionaries in England, Olaf underwent a conversion that changed Scandinavian history. Returning to Norway in 995 A.D., he seized the throne and embarked on an aggressive campaign to Christianize the realm. Villages that refused baptism faced destruction. Pagan temples burned. The old gods fell before the cross. Olaf built Norway's first great church at Nidaros, modern-day Trondheim, and minted the kingdom's first coins bearing Christian symbols. His reign ended at the Battle of Svolder around 1000 A.D., where rival kings ambushed his fleet. Rather than surrender, Olaf reportedly leapt into the sea in full armor. Olaf ranks at number 3 because he didn't just conquer territory, he conquered belief itself, forcibly transforming Norway's spiritual landscape in just 5 years. Number 2. Harald Hardrada. Born around 1015 A.D., Harald Sigurdsson fled Norway as a teenager after his half-brother, King Olaf II, fell at the Battle of Stiklestad. He journeyed to Constantinople and joined the Varangian Guard, an elite unit of Norse mercenaries serving the Byzantine Empire. For 15 years, Harald fought across the Mediterranean, accumulating enormous wealth and military expertise. When he returned to Norway in 1045 A.D., he seized the throne and ruled as one of medieval Scandinavia's most powerful kings. But Harald's ambitions exceeded his kingdom. In 1066, he launched an invasion of England, claiming the throne based on old agreements. At the Battle of Stamford Bridge on September 25, 1066, Harold's forces were defeated by King Harold Godwinson. An arrow to the throat ended Harold's life. His death marked the symbolic end of the Viking Age. 3 weeks later, William the Conqueror invaded from Normandy, and medieval Europe entered a new era. Harold ranks at number 2 because he was the last great Viking warrior king, the final echo of an age already fading into history. He fought brilliantly, but couldn't stop the world from changing. Number 1. Harald Fairhair. Born around 850 A.D. in Vestfold, Harald Halfdanson inherited only a small kingdom, but dreamed of uniting all Norway. According to legend, he vowed never to cut his hair until every petty kingdom bowed to his rule. For over a decade, Harald waged systematic campaigns across Norway, crushing rivals and consolidating power. The decisive Battle of Hafrsfjord around 880 to 890 A.D. broke the last major resistance. When victory was finally complete, Harald washed and cut his hair, earning the name Fairhair. Harald became Norway's first true king, centralizing authority and ending centuries of fragmented rule. Those who refused his sovereignty fled west, establishing colonies in Iceland, the Faroe Islands, and beyond. In this way, Harald's unification inadvertently expanded the Viking world even as it ended its chaotic early period. Harald ranks at number 1 because he transformed Vikings from raiders into a nation. He built the political foundation that allowed Scandinavian kingdoms to engage with medieval Europe as equals rather than threats. Every Viking king who came after walked the path Harald first carved. From Freydis's fierce defiance to Harald Fairhair's kingdom-building ambition, these 10 Vikings shaped medieval history through courage, cunning, and sheer force of will. They began as raiders and explorers, but evolved into monarchs and nation builders. Their longships have long since rotted away, but their names endure in chronicles and sagas, in the cultural DNA of Nordic nations, and in the eternal human fascination with those brave enough or mad enough to challenge the world itself. The Viking Age ended over 9 centuries ago, but its legends remind us that history belongs to those bold enough to claim it.